Thank you very much, Minister, and that's welcome. And I would agree with you. I think the LIS funding actually should be coming from the Department of Transport. And if they did do that, then there would be more money for yourself to give out to rural communities, which is what you're all about. Again, in relation to Killinkere National School, as they're very curtailed as to where, and there's lots of schools like them right across the country. For instance, their car park is actually across the road from the school, so there is no safe drop-off point. The school, the principal, the management do their best to have it as safe as possible, but in reality, the car park is across the road from the school, and there is tremendous worry, angst, frustration going on for years at this particular school. And I just would ask you to be mindful to have that flexibility in any further announcement you might have for CLÁR funding, because, as I said, you know, funding for projects like that are not that attainable for small primary schools in the countryside. It is what your role is about, making our countryside communities and rural areas thrive, and I think CLÁR funding has been very influential in doing that. But again, I'd make the case here for Killinkere National School. I know they've applied for it unsuccessfully for CLÁR funding before, but the Parents Association, the Board of Management, the parents and of course the staff and the management of the school would be quite anxious that this would be something they could access to make their school a safe place.
Thank you. I'll ask the Deputy that she might send on that particular case to me, and I get the Department to look at it to see why it was unsuccessful. Because in the scheme, as you know, we have for support for schools and community safety measures. And once there are safety measures, you know, there's a bit of flexibility there. So you might actually send on that, and I'll have a look at it. The other area that I looked at last year, again, was support for mobility and cancer care transport. I found that was a big problem in rural Ireland, and that scheme worked very well. There was many patients who weren't able to get their cancer appointments. The Health Board had reneged in relation to providing funding to support them, and voluntary groups had taken up that call, and they were finding it very difficult to find funding for their buses and to bring them to and from treatment for cancer. So that was one of the schemes that I introduced. So I'm looking at ways and means of introducing schemes that will be a help to rural Ireland and will be a benefit to communities. That's what it's about. So you might send on your own individual case, and I'll have a look at that.
Deputy Dáil I to introduce his question number 11.
Thank you, Dáil.